Our other top story tonight, former Trump administration National Security Advisor John Bolton is facing federal charges over alleged mishandling of classified information. The indictment was handed down a short time ago. Correspondent David Spunt has breaking details tonight. Good evening, David.
John, good evening, or Brett, good evening. The former Ambassador John Bolton, that's why I said John, facing these 18 counts in this indictment after a Maryland grand jury decided he should face charges related to his alleged retention and transmission of classified documents. His own attorney, Brett, admitted that he kept some of these classified documents. Bolton charged not only with keeping top secret classified information, but sharing it with family members. The Justice Department says Bolton sent diary-like entries about his workdays at the White House and shared information classified up to the top secret SCI level, the highest level, and shared them on messaging apps and personal AOL and Google email accounts. Prosecutors, Brett, seen leaving the federal court after the indictment, have been probing Bolton since the Biden administration. President Trump reacting in real time to the indictment from the Oval Office, where Bolton used to frequent.
I think he's a bad guy. Yeah, he's a bad guy. It's too bad, but that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes, right? That's the way it goes.
We were there as FBI agents raided Bolton's Maryland home and Washington, D.C. office in August. Agents were looking for classified documents. His attorney, Abby Lowell, telling Fox News the following just within the last half an hour. These charges stem from portions of Bolton's personal diaries over his 45-year career, records that are unclassified, shared only with his immediate family and known to the FBI as far back as 2021. Like many public officials throughout history, Bolton kept diaries. That is not a crime. We look forward to proving that once again, Ambassador Bolton did not unlawfully share or store any information. Here's Bolton, though, Brett, in 2023 responding to a question about FBI raids on former President Trump's property and President Biden's Delaware home with classified documents. Watch.
It sets a bad example for the thousands of other people in the federal bureaucracy who have security clearances, because if the people at the top can be casual about it and then get away with it, that is not a good lesson to teach.
Bolton almost 3 years ago. No word yet, Brett, on his first court appearance.
Okay, we'll follow it. David, thanks.
Thanks.
Bolton was just indicted by a grand jury in Maryland. Do you have a reaction to that?
I didn't know that. You tell me for the first time, but I think he's, a bad person. I think he's a bad guy. Yeah, he's a bad guy. It's too bad, but that's the way it goes.
The case against him?
That's the way it goes, right? That's the way it goes. Will I what?
Have you reviewed the case against him?
No, I haven't. I haven't. But I just think he's a bad person.
Fox News alert, President Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, has been indicted. He's accused of mishandling classified documents. Let's go right to Fox News correspondent David Spunt with the details. David.
Hi, Will. This is breaking news out of Greenbelt, Maryland, federal court there. A federal grand jury has returned an indictment against former National Security Advisor John Bolton. But we want to be very careful. This has not been unsealed yet, so we don't know the names of the charges, specifically what charges he's facing, and we don't know how many counts he is facing yet. But we do know that this deals with allegedly mishandling classified documents. His own attorney, Abby Lowell, who famously represented Hunter Biden, Bill Clinton, Jared Kushner in the past, put out a statement a couple of weeks ago when news was swirling that this may be happening, admitting that Bolton did have classified documents in his possession, but said that those were pre-cleared for the publication of his book. So not much information right now other than to tell you that former National Security Advisor John Bolton has been indicted for allegedly mishandling classified documents. I do want to point out, though, that on August 27th, we were there as FBI agents raided his Maryland home and Washington, D.C. office. Agents were looking for these classified documents. And again, Abby Lowell said many of these documents would be, and I want to read a statement here. You don't have it, but I'm just going to paraphrase it here. I'm going to actually read the quote. We're just not going to put up the quote. He said, quote, "These are the kinds of ordinary records, many of which are 20 years old or more, that would be kept by a 40-year-old career official who served at the State Department, an assistant attorney general, the U.S. ambassador, ambassador to the United Nations and the National Security Advisor. He said that these are dated with classification markings from 1998 to 2006. He says an objective and thorough review will show nothing inappropriate was stored or kept by Ambassador Bolton. So John Bolton indicted for allegedly mishandling classified documents, and he had said many times in the past during the raid on Mar-a-Lago or when classified documents were found at President Biden's home in Wilmington, Delaware. Remember, he had an investigation, too, for classified documents. Bolton criticized both those men, and he said, quote, because if the people at the top can be casual about it when they get away with it, that is not a good lesson to teach, end quote. That was John Bolton in 2023. So still very fresh. This just broke. We're waiting to get some reaction from Bolton's team. I reached out to his attorney, Mr. Lowell, and we're waiting to see about this indictment being unsealed to get a little bit more detail here. Will.
Okay, thank you for that report. David, let's continue to break this down. John Bolton indicted by a federal grand jury in Maryland. Let's talk about that with Fox News legal analyst now, Greg Jarrett. Greg, let me just get your initial reaction to a grand jury indicting John Bolton.
Well, Will, when Bolton's home and office were raided by the FBI, I mean, that was a pretty good, obvious sign that they already had probable cause to believe that he was keeping classified material in prohibited places. That, of course, is a violation of the Espionage Act. And so an indictment seemed inevitable from that moment in time. The focus has been really threefold. Physical documents with classified markings in his possession. Then there's, second of all, private notes on his AOL account that allegedly contain classified information. And finally, published material from his book that was not pre-approved, says the government, by the intelligence community, which the law requires. I think, Will, that the AOL account is truly problematic because it was hacked by a foreign adversary, according to an intel assessment that's actually contained in the warrant affidavit. So if that's true, that only supports the case against him, because that's precisely what the Espionage Act was designed to protect. And, you know, as for Abbe Lowell, he's a very fine attorney, but it doesn't matter how old these documents are. If they're still classified, it is criminal to have them in your possession. And furthermore, legally, it doesn't matter whether it was willful or sloppy, because under the Espionage Act, it's both. It's a crime if it's either intentional or negligent. I mean, you would think that after the notorious Hillary Clinton case, the guilty plea by General David Petraeus, both of whom mishandled classified documents quite clearly, that others like Bolton, who are in government, wouldn't do it. They'd be extra careful. But, you know, John Bolton has always tried to leverage his positions in government by profiting financially from books. And, you know, keeping classified documents may have been his motivation, as it was for Joe Biden, who unlawfully stored classified documents in his home and garage. And he admitted it was for the purpose of writing a book.
I'm going to ask you as well if you wouldn't mind hanging out as we continue this conversation, because we also have the Ruthless crew on call. We got Josh Holmes, Comfortably Smug, Michael Duncan, and John Ashbrook, who are also with us here today to get their reaction. Fellas, you can only imagine what the reaction might be from the other side on other channels from Democrats. There will be a long conversation about the weaponization of the Justice Department. Mark Thiessen makes a great point. Very hard to make that argument after what we just saw with Donald Trump.
No question about it. And I appreciate the caution in jumping to conclusions here. We don't know what the specific charges are. But I think the reality that has been presented before us over the last couple of years is that you've got a foreign policy and a security establishment in this country that has done an awful lot to have a protected class, where you go after certain people that are playing the game. You don't go after others. Brennan, Clapper, others who have demonstrably had issues, but yet it committed the same sort of alleged crimes as others that you choose to prosecute. And all of that sort of changed when they decided to bring this to Donald Trump's doorstep. He gets reelected. They're sorting all of this out. I don't know how this ends, but I got to imagine that this entire transparency of who's doing what has got to be of some benefit to the country.
Yeah.
I mean, so for me, my initial thought is this is going to be very predictable because the Dems scored the worst own goal by trying to run on no one is above the law. No one is above the law. And now that's going to haunt them. So what they're going to do is as predictable as ever. They're going to say this is a political witch hunt. This is Trump prosecuting his enemies. Well, when you run on no one is above the law, guess what? No one's above the law.
And I think we have to secure the process a little bit here. This really isn't even a partisan take. But like, it seems to me that there's people in our security and intelligence agencies that take home confidential, top secret documents. Like I have CVS receipts in my car. It's crazy.
Yeah, this administration is taking law and order very seriously, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon.
I think.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.